So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new environment for this build out. Make sure that the type is a developer environment and Dataverse needs to be installed. And then I'm going to click next. Okay, I'm going to click save. Okay, I'm going to wait for this environment to finish getting created here, or you should say ready. Okay, now it's ready. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that auditing is enabled in this environment, so we can get the auditing requirement of the table to see who's created which record when. I'm going to go to settings, click on audit settings. And I'm going to click on start logging. And I'm going to hit save. Don't need to mess with the global audit settings. Okay, once auditing is created, I am now should be able to get to my environment. So I'm going to open up make.powerapps.com. Oh, that's Power Pages, Power Apps, make.powerapps.com. And I'm going to click on the environments up here, and I'm going to change to the tax professionals development environment here. So now I have a blank environment where I can now create a solution. So I'm going to create a new solution up here. I call this tax professionals questionnaire solution. Okay. And I'm going to create a new publisher here so we can have a prefix. So I'm going to call this one tax developers. And I'm going to prefix everything with tax professionals with TP. Okay. And I'm going to click save. Actually, I'm going to create this so the acronym makes sense, or the prefix. So tax professionals. Now I'll just call this tax professionals, and then the prefix is TP for tax professionals, and then I'm going to click save. Can't have any spaces, so we're just going to remove the space in the name and hit save. Okay, now that I've created a publisher, I should see it in my dropdown. So I'm going to choose tax professionals and click create. Okay, now I have an empty solution. And now I need to start creating my tables. So there's two tables I want to create. First one is going to be the controller table. So I'm going to go to a new and then table. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have my information in front of me over here on my other screen. So I'm going to call this one controllers. And then I'm going to add a description here. And choose not to enable attachments. And I'm going to audit the changes to this data. Okay. And then leave everything else blank and hit save. Okay. Now I am going to start creating columns. Before I do that, I need to pull up on my other screen here of all the columns I need to create. Click on columns here. And I'm going to create a new column. And this one is going to be email. Give it a description. And I need to make sure that this is, I'm going to make these all optional. So I'll just keep that optional. And then for format here, I'm going to choose email, just so it formats it nice, and hit save. Okay, now I'm going to create a location column. I'm also just going to sort these things by my custom fields that I'm creating. So there's my email one. Automatically creates a controllers, which will house my ID, my unique identifier. And then I already have a name, which will house my controller's name. Add a new here. I'm going to add a new location here. Okay. I'm going to make this a choice field. And I'm going to give it a global choice. And see if there's a location one in here. There's not, so I'm going to create a new choice. Call this one tax location, or actually I'll just call it tax location. Okay, and then I'm going to add in some choices here for the dropdown. Houston, Phoenix, Kansas City, and we'll add New York. Okay, we could add any number that we want to do. And I'm going to click save here. And I'm going to make sure that I choose that in my dropdown here. So I should see something called tax location. Make sure the default choice is left blank. And hit save. Okay, and then I'm going to create a new column. And I'm going to call this one package. This is going to link to my my questionnaire table. So I'm going to call this question ID, or let's see, questions ID. Actually, we'll keep it similar to what I have it in the. We're going to call it package ID because that's what I have it in my demo here, and that will keep everything the same. Package ID, and we're going to make this a lookup, but actually we can't create this one yet because this one is going to rely on a table that we have not created yet. So we're just going to cancel this right now, and we'll come back to that one. Okay. Create a new column. We're going to call this one status, and this one's going to have our statuses for the individual. So let's call this a lookup column or a choice column. Okay, it's going to be optional. Actually, this one's going to be required, and we're going to create a new choice. Call this one Comptroller Questionnaire Status. And we're going to have one called Not Started. Notified. And then we're going to call this one Complete. Okay, so those are the three statuses will be when the default status is going to be not started. So we're also going to, while I'm in here, I am going to I'm going to copy this value here because we're going to need this later. So this is the not started, and then this is the value of that. I'm just going to open up my notepad here. I'm just going to save not started, and we'll need that for our workflow. So there's the status ID for that guy there, and we're going to hit save. Make sure that we choose that status here. Default is going to be not started, and we're going to save. Okay, so we got our first table done there. And now we're going to create a new table called the Quarterly Tax Package. So let's go back to our tables. We're going to do a new table. Call this one Quarterly Tax Packages. Give it a quick description. Okay, and then on this one, we're also going to enable audit changes. Okay. All right. And now we just need to create the questions for this guy. We're going to click on columns. Again, we're going to sort on just the columns that we're creating. So we're going to type in TP, which is our prefix. So we already got one called name, and we got one called Quarterly Tax Package. Okay, for the name column, we're going to call this one Comptroller because we're going to write the Comptroller name in here. And that's going to remain a business required, and the text. Okay. And just getting my reference solution here. Okay, we're also going to create a new column called completion. Okay, and this is going to house our status. So this will be status of questionnaire. It's spelled correctly. I'm going to copy this spelling here because I always misspell it. Okay, save. Okay, and now we're going to create a new column called package ID. This is going to be a single line of text. Actually, we're going to call this one controller ID. This is going to capture the controller GUID so we can link the two tables together. So we're going to click on Save here. Okay, and now we're going to start with the questions. Now the questions that we have pretty long. So normally I would put it in the display name, but we are limited to the amount of characters we have. So we are going to put these questions inside of the description so we know what they are. I'm also going to just make note of each question here because we're going to need that later. We're going to create all of it. I think there's 13 questions. Just going to make note of those questions over here. Okay. Put this on my slide. So each question I'm going to make for question 1, this is a yes, no. Going to make this a choice. I'm not going to choose yes, no here. And the reason why is because I need the choice to have yes, no, and blank. And if I choose yes, no here, I will not allow a blank value because I want the user to be able to choose the dropdown. So I'm going to choose choice here. And I'm going to create a new choices called tax question. Yes, no. And we're going to create a yes, no. Okay. And that way I have a default choice of none. Otherwise, I would not be able to create a default choice of none. Okay. Make sure the default choice is none, and I'm going to keep this one optional. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to continue creating these columns. Okay, and this one's going to be, I'm just going to create this one as text and multi-line plain text, so we can have a long response if we need it. And I'm going to make sure I copy this over to my notepad. I'm just going to continue doing this for all questions. This last question is going to be a selection of choices that are years. This is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to create a new this one Google status years. And then we're just going to put in 10 years of data here. Okay, and hit save. Choose the choices that we just did. And save. So that completes our two tables. I'm going to pause the video for a minute and then we'll start again. Okay, got the name, the email, location, status. And we'll click on save and publish. I was not sharing my screen, so I'm going to go back and show you what I did. So after we finish creating the tables, we need to modify the views and the forms of each of the tables we created. So I clicked on views, and then on active controllers, this is the default view that we're going to utilize. Click on the three dots and click edit. And then from here, you can drag and drop columns onto the form in the order that you want. So you can do that by just dragging and dropping. I don't want this here. So I added the name, the email, the location, and the status to the form by dragging and dropping. And then you can remove any field that you don't want to see by just clicking on the drop down and clicking on remove. And then once you're finished, you click on save and publish. And this view of the comptrollers table is now complete, and click on the back button. And then for the next table is the quarterly tax package table. Click on views of that one. Again, click on active quarterly tax packages, which is the default public view. And going to click on edit on that one as well. So from here, let me see how I have it set up in my model app. So I want the controller name. I want the completion status. I'm going to remove the completed on. I want the status. Actually, I don't want the status. That is a system table. Don't need it. And then I'm going to move over the questions in the order that I entered them. Okay, now I have all of the rows that I want. And again, click Save and Publish. Okay, then click on Back. And now that I have the two views created, I'm going to go back and create the forms that I want. So under Controllers, click on Forms. I'm going to want the information main. That is the default form, and click on Edit. Okay, from here, I'm going to take this owner field and I'm going to drag it up to the top. This is a system field and it's not editable, and you can't remove it. So move that over here. And then I'm going to drag the email location. Make sure that you get the status that has the schema name or logical name of TP status. And that's it. Click Save and Publish. Next, click Back. Okay, and then last, we need the table for the quarterly tax package. So we're going to click on Forms. And edit the main. Okay, from here, we're going to, again, move over the owner up to the top. The questionnaire, the controller name, we're going to just remove this. And you just do that you click on the actual controller name and you just click the delete button. Actually, may not be able to delete it. We'll just leave it as is for now and move it in a minute. Next, I'm going to move over the questions in the order of the questions. Okay, got all the questions here. The controller name is going to automatically be generated, but I don't want the user to change it. So we're just going to make this one read-only, and it'll be showing up on the top of the screen. Question 1, we don't have the actual question because it was too long to put as the display name. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the label on each of the questions to correspond to the questions that we want answered. So that's why I copied and pasted these items over here when I created the columns. So I'm just going to go through and change the labels of each of these to the proper question. Okay, so I have all the questions that I've put on the form. I'm going to go ahead and save and publish this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I have to insert the business rules. So, for example, on question 1 here, if I answer yes, I want the question 2 to be visible, and if I select no, I want it to remain hidden. So I'm going to have to implement business rules on each of the questions that have these conditions set on them, so they only show up when the answer is yes. So to do that, click on business rules, and then click on new business rule. It's going to open up a separate tab. So the first business rule is on question 2. So I'm going to give question 2 a name. Call this question 2 visibility. On the condition, I only want this condition to fire when question 1 is equal to yes. And then I'm going to give this a condition name called question 2. Question 1 is yes. I'll copy this to my clipboard so I can use it later. And then make sure you click apply. Okay, so I have my condition. Now I need to set my action. So I'm going to click on the add. And for this, I want to set the visibility. So I'm going to create the plus sign here. And I want question 2 to be visible. And I'm also going to put that on the clipboard. And I want question 2 to be visibility equals yes, and click apply. The next thing I want to do is when question 2 is visible, I also want it to be required. So I'm going to add another condition that says set business required on the plus sign here. And I'm going to name this set business required, or question 2 is required. Again, click apply. Okay, so that is what happens when it's visible, or question 1 is yes. I also want to set the path when the answer is no. So if it's no, this is the no path, then I want question 2 hidden. And I want to set the visibility to no. And make sure you click apply. And I also want to add and say, I want to set the business required equals to no. Question 2 is not required. Question 2 is not required. Apply. So that is my business rule for number 1. Go all the way up to the top, click save. And then you have to click activate. Activate again. I'm going to continue making these business rules. So this was question 2. I'm going to open up the tab here. I have question 2 visibility here. I'm going to continue making the business rules for this entire form, and I will not be talking about it. The next business rule is for question 6. Last business rule is for question 12. Okay, should have all of my visibility rules set up, and I need one more business rule to set the field as completed when the user enters in the values for this. So I'm going to create a new business rule here. Ideally, I can create, based on my question list, I want them to answer for sure question 1 and question 4. Question 3, question 4, 3 and 4, question 5, question 6, and 9, question 11, and question 13. So for each of these, I want to, if there's values in these, I want to set the completion state to complete. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to add one condition. So I'm going to say check if complete. Question, I'll just say Q1 complete. Apply. Want Q1 to contain data. Apply. I'll add rule number 2. And I want question 3. Contains data. And the rule logic is with and there. And another one. For question 4. Contains data. Make sure it's an and. I'm going to stop there. Question 1, 3, and 4. Those all contain data. Then I want to set the field value. Set to complete. And I want to set the completion value to complete. And this is going to trigger whether or not the questionnaire has been completed. Ideally, I would have all of my business rules in here for all of them, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll just keep it at 3. Click on apply. Actually, I'm going to see if I can just finish that up as well, but probably not necessary for the demo for that to happen. So we get a fully working solution here. Okay, so I have 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. They all contain data. And if all of those contain data, then completion is set to complete. Save this. I'm going to change the condition of this one to say check questions complete and apply. Save. And then great. Go back to my form. Should have all of my business rules. I forgot to name this one. I'm going to go back and name this one to a better name. So I have to deactivate, and name this one to set to complete. Save. And deactivate and activate. It's going to check each of these rules to make sure that they've been activated. Back to my form. I have all my business rules here. This one should change to the new rule. Then I'm going to save and publish. So all of my forms and all of my views have now been created. And now I just need to create the model-driven app. So click on back. I click on apps, new, model-driven app. I'll call this one tax package questionnaire. And click create. Okay, and now I'm going to create my pages. So I need a controllers and my so I'm going to add my two tables that I've created. Could have added them at the same time, but I hit the button too soon. So now I have my my two apps here, or my two my tables. So I have my view and then my form here, so I can create new questionnaires and my controllers. One nice to have, not necessary, but I'm going to change the icon of each of these. So for controllers, I'm going to click on settings here. And I'm going to change the icon to use web resource. I think I'm going to try to use a user icon for that. And for my tax package, I'm going to use something that looks kind of like a questionnaire. I'm going to use this Power Pages icon. Okay, and that'll come in effect once I save and publish. The last thing I need is I'm going to change this group here, call this tax tools. And then I'm going to add a new page, and this is going to be the page that initiates my my questionnaire notification process. So to do that, I'm going to click on New Page here and click on Custom Page. Click on Next. I'm going to call this this one Send Email. This is going to initiate Power Apps. This is just a start screen. I'm going to enter in a button here. Okay, and I'm going to call this button Send Controllers Notification. And make the button a little bit bigger. Just going to keep it there for now. Click Save, Publish. And I rename this just a button, Send Notification. We're going to come back to this button to add the code to run the workflow. So I'm just going to save this and publish for now. And we're going to go publish this version, click on the back button here. Okay, and then click back, leave. Should now have a page here with a button on it. Go back and click on edit here. That should be good. Now I have the send email. I'm going to move this up to the top. And we're going to change the icon of that guy to some sort of mail icon. Use this one right here, email content. Apply. Here, I'm going to save this whole thing and publish. Okay, so let's play what we have so far. Got a send button here. We got a controllers view. I can add a new controller. Say we're in Houston. Not started. Save and close. Now I have one controller. Quarterly tax package. I should be able to click new here. I see all of my questions. I can choose yes, no. You see my all of my data there and save. It's not going to be completed until I finish all of the entire questions. So let me just fill this in here. Okay, gonna click on save and close. And you'll see that my completion is now complete. I don't have a controller name because I have not implemented that yet. So my questionnaire seems to be working pretty good. The only issue I have is this question only allows one, and I believe that's supposed to be multi-select. So we will go ahead and edit that. Let's see if I can do that directly from here. If I can't, I'll go somewhere else. I'm just going to move this over here real quick. If I can get it over here and click on edit table column. And let's go to advanced options. Don't think for now, I'm going to leave this alone. Oh, here we go. Selecting multiple choices is allowed here. Seems I didn't select that when I was creating these tables. So I'm going to leave that as is for now. Because otherwise I have to delete this table and then we'll come back to that. For now, we'll leave it as single choice. Leave it alone. We'll just leave that single choice for now. So the next thing we got to do is we have to create the workflow that's associated with this button. So we're going to do that next. So going back to our solution, click on create, and then create setup Cloudflow. Make sure it's an instant. we're going to use the V2 Power Apps V2 connector. And I'll give it a name here. It's like I gotta look it up. Okay, so the name of this is going to be called Send Tax Package Questionnaire to Active Controllers. And then we're going to click Create. Okay, so this is going to be triggered from Power Apps. And we're going to, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a list of all the active controllers. So we're going to search for Dataverse. And we're going to do a list rows. We're going to choose table. It's going to be controller table. So rename this item here to list rows or colors. And then we're going to do a filter that looks something like this. So this is the name of our column. And this is the number that I gathered from way back at the beginning when I created the status column. There was a choice name not started, and its ID is 128684000. So I'm going to make sure that that equals to that. And what this is doing is it's pulling all of the records of the controllers with that particular status. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, and then we're going to do a loop action. For each. To control. And we're going to do a apply to each. And I rename this one for each, just to be consistent with my model app. And it's going to loop through the value of this list controller. So for each controller, it's going to do these actions. And I wanted to create a new questionnaire. So I'm going to go to Dataverse again. I'm going to add a new row and rename this. Add a new questionnaire. Misspelled questionnaire again. Okay, and this is going to be my questionnaire table. I think it's quarterly tax packages. Here. Okay, controller name is going to come from my my list of controllers, so whatever's coming out of here. So I'm going to type a name here. And then I want to link the controller with the controller ID here. So I'm going to add an expression. And in my expression, I'm putting in this formula. It's basically grabbing the controller unique ID from, again, the list of controllers. So this will allow me to link the two records together. And I still need to come back and create, actually, I don't think I need to. Okay. I need to create a lookup column to this record to link the two tables, but I'll do that after this. Okay, and everything else I'm going to leave to default. So basically, it's just creating a blank questionnaire for this controller. Okay, I'm going to click Save here. Next thing I want to do is for each of the controllers, because I'm sending them a notification, I want to update the status of the controller. I'm going to do update a row. And this is going to be update a comptroller status. And we're going to go back to the same table, the controller table, comptroller table. And we're going to grab the ID. From the list of controllers. And really the only thing we need to do here is change the status. Not this status, first status. The status here, it's going from not started to notified. And that's it. Last, I'm going to create a compose statement here. This is going to have our HTML for the email that I'm going to send. So I'm going to rename this to email. And I'm copying and pasting this bit of text into my email body. So what this is doing is it's sending the name of my controller. So this isn't quite right. I need this to be the name of my controller. And then this here, make sure that add sure that syntax is correct. Add a new questionnaire. That looks right. Make sure there's no spaces here. Yep. And basically saying welcome or ask addressing the user by its name, and then it's asking them to fill out the quarterly tax. And then this is the link to the tax record. There's in here a URL that I need to provide, and I will show you how to do that in a minute. Last thing to do, I want to make sure to save this, is send an email. Send email. Sure, you use send email v2. I'm going to create another connection reference for me. And I need to add dynamic content, and we need the email of the controller. Okay, and then for the subject, I'm going to say, please fill out your questionnaire. And then for the body, we're going to put the output of this body here. I separate this out. You could directly put in this this HTML into this record here, but sometimes it modifies the HTML a little bit. So I'm going to leave it separate as a best practice. Okay. Last thing I want to do is I want to respond outside of the loop. I want to respond to Power Apps. Respond to Power Apps. And then I want to respond back with a message that says response equals success. And save this. A couple things I need to do now that I have this workflow created. I need to create a environment variable that stores the URL. I go to new environment variable. Call this app URL. And for the app URL, I'm going to go back to this here. And when I click on one of these guys to edit, I want to grab this URL up here. This is editing a single item, right? I'm going to open up my notepad again. And I'm going to look at that. Basically, this is the structure of opening up a new item. I want everything except this last bit here, which is the actual ID of the item. I want to supply that with my Power Automate. I'm going to copy everything but the actual GUID here at the end. Copy that into my clipboard. And I need to go back here, and for this app URL, I'm going to make this text, and I'm going to make the current value that URL that I just put in there. That'll make it so the link that's being generated is dynamic. The other thing I want to do is in controllers, I want to add one more column that connects the two tables together. So call this controller ID. I think that's what I named it. Hold on just a sec. I actually named it package ID, so we'll name it the same thing. Package ID. This is going to be a lookup. Okay, and I'm going to relate it to the quarterly tax table. I can find it. Okay. And that will come into play on the next workflow that we create. I'm going to pause here for a moment. Okay, just to recap where we're at. In the Power Apps controllers, Power Apps questionnaire solution, we have created the app. We have created one flow. And we have created the tables and columns and business rules required for this solution. The next thing we're going to do is link the app with the Cloudflow. Again, click on Apps in the solution that we're in. Click on Edit. On the Send Email button here, go ahead and click on Edit here. Next, we're going to link the flow that we just created in the last video. So click on the icon for Power Automate, add flow. I have this flow here that's called Send Tax Package Questionnaire. The flow's been added. Next, I'm going to click on the button that we created in the last video. It's on select. I'm going to expand this, and I'm going to insert a snippet of code here. So what this code does is that first, it will update a variable to disable the button, so people aren't double-clicking on the button while the code is running. Next, it is I have an if statement. So what this bit of code here does is it runs the Power Automate flow that we created last video, and then it waits for a response called success. This was the response I went back. Expects some sort of text message to come back that says success. If it does, it will create a notification on the screen to basically say that the flow was sent and the controllers have been emailed. And if not, there will be an error. And then it updates the variable again to say basically re-enable the button so it can be run again. The other thing I need to do is on this button itself, there is a property called display mode. And we need to change this to a formula. It says this. I want to copy both of these into my text. It's here so we can include that in the documentation. This first one, this is for the button. And this one is for what this display mode does is when this variable changes from true to false, it disables the button if it's true, it re-enables it if it's false. Save and publish. And once it's published, make sure that's published again. Click the back button. Okay, I'm going to publish the app. And we are going to do a quick test, see if this worked. So allow. Next, we're going to publish this app. I'm also going to open up Power Automate to that flow I created, just so we can see if there's any errors. my flows. Make sure we're in the tax professional environment. I'm going to go into solutions. And then we're going to click on tax professional solution. And then click on Cloud Flows and click on Details. Have this flow opened here. Back to my app. Make sure it is on the right one here. I'm going to close that old one out. I'm going to click on Play. So the idea here is I'm going to go back to this tax package one that I created earlier. I'm going to delete this one out. Go back to my controllers tab. I have one controller here. I could have multiple controllers here. I have this email address that I have access to, and my status here is equal to not started. Click on this, send controllers notification. Got an error back. So let's go check the error. That URL that I created earlier is not found. So let me just ensure that my connection reference here, environment variable here, app URL, TP app variable. I'm going to open this up here. Copy this into my clipboard. Make sure I have the right name. On edit. Expand out my for each, go into my email body. And click on this. And to make sure this URL is exactly the same, put in there. I'm going to remove this string here. I'm just going to re-enter it. Click on dynamic values. This is the one that I want here. And hit save. And save. Oops. Save. Just making sure that URL there is good. Save now. Back to this screen here, and then I'm going to go back to my solution here. I'm going to try it again. That time it worked. Just needed to make sure that that syntax was correct. Going to go to my controllers here. See here that I've been notified. Inside of the tax package, I've been created a new blank screen here. Going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to open up my Outlook. Okay, so 12 very recently ago. Let me see if I got my email here. There has been completed. I have not gotten the email. I need to make sure that my email address was correct. Going back to here, gonna refresh. It says it succeeded. Let me find out why my email did not get sent. It says it fired everything. I'm gonna edit here. Must have ran, but it must not have sent the email because email. Let's try that again. I think it happened was since it failed the first time, it ran through here and it did not send the email. So we're just going to reset. Back to my Power App. Back to my Power App. I'm going to delete this. That is my Quarterly Tax Questionnaire. I'm going to go back to my controllers here. I'm going to click on this guy here, ensure that my email address is correct. I'm going to change this back to not started. And then I'm going to send the email again. This time I got the email. Here it is, recurred. I'll click on this following link. Let's make sure this link works. It takes me directly to my questionnaire. I'm going to fill this out. Press these to no, and let's set that up there. Save and close. And then my email, my completion state should be complete. Okay, so that's good. I have all my questions here. The last thing I need to do is send an email and update my controller's status to submitted or complete. The other thing I need to do is I need to create a chart here that I can track my status of my controllers. So those are the two steps that I have left that I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my my app that's in edit mode. I'm going to go into controllers view. And then there's this new section called charts. Create a new chart. I'm going to call this one controllers comptroller status. Just call it status. Create a pie chart. For the legends here, I'm going to set this as the field I want. One sec, let me look at my model app. So for the legend entries, I want the name here. And I want to count the names of the non-empty. And then for the horizontal axis, I want to track the status. Okay, so there's my chart. I only have one item in there, so it's not very interesting to look at. I'd like save and close. And make sure to publish. Okay, and I'm going to pause here because I have a meeting, but I'll come back and do the last step, which is to create that workflow that sends the notification and updates the status, and that will be the last step. Okay, so there's two main things that we need to do. In the last video, we created this package ID column in the controllers table. And the purpose of this column is to reference the particular questionnaire and the tax package to the controller. That way we can have a nice linkage in between the two, and we can see what that looks like. So in order to do that, we're going to go into Cloud Flows, and we're going to edit this Cloud Flow. Okay, and then we're going to expand on the for each here, and we're going to expand on the update a controller status, expand the advanced options. So now we see here this package ID that needs to be in a very specific format. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Basically, this is / this is the name of the quarterly tax package table, and then in parentheses we have the tax passage, the ID of the tax passage ID coming from the questionnaire that we created up here. So that's going to give us a linkage between the two tables. Click Save. Okay, and that completes this workflow. Next, we're going to create one more workflow. This is a smaller workflow, and this is going to respond to the tax team when a new questionnaire has been submitted, and it's going to update the status of the controller to complete, so we can see the tracking mechanism. So I'm going to create new automation, automated workflow. I'm going to name this workflow update comptroller status. And we're going to use the Dataverse when a row is added, modified, or deleted. So this is the trigger we're going to use. Inside of this, we're going to change the change type to just modified. So this is triggering when a record inside of the quarterly tax packages. Scope is going to be organization. And we're also going to go to settings here. And we only want to trigger this particular workflow when that completion, the completion workflow, or the completion field is set to complete. So we're going to set a trigger condition here. Let me get that trigger condition. And put this in my cheat sheet here. So basically this trigger condition says when the completion field is equal to complete, then you will run this flow. Okay. Once it triggers, we wanted to update the Dataverse row. Rename this to update a controller status. We're going to choose the comptroller table. We're going to get the row ID from the trigger. Oh, all right. No, we don't. Make sure that no, that's not correct. Actually, it's correct. Status, we want to update it to complete. Okay, and then the last step, we're going to send another email. In this case, I'm going to send it to myself. Content here. Good. This is my admin email address. Make sure that's correct. Subject is, we're going to say the name of the person from, yeah, we're going to use that. Questionnaire is complete. And let's put a short email address in here. There we go. That's it, just a short message just to indicate that it's been completed. We're going to save it. This over. Okay, that's it. Now let's test the beginning to the end, and we'll add another user in here too. Still saving. Okay, we'll make sure it's saved. I want to see the green bar. Yeah, says saved. Okay, so let's close out some windows here. Close out some workflows here, just so we have an empty inbox. Let's go back to our Power App and let's hit I actually need to publish everything. You should see our Cloudflow showing here. Let me refresh. There we go. Update controller status is our next workflow. Go to apps, play this app. Go ahead and go into the controllers. I'm going to reset this guy here to not started. Save and close. I also want to create a new controller. And we'll make the location here, Kansas City, and save and close. So now we have two controllers. Let me go to my quarterly tax package here, and let me remove this. And there's one more change that I actually want to do. In the controllers, I want to see the link to my package ID. So I'm going to go back into here on edit. And I'm going to go to my controllers view on the little edit pencil. Okay, and then I want to move the package ID to the end here. So I should see the linkage between the two tables. And I'm going to click Save and Publish. Okay. And we publish the app. Okay, and we'll close this window here. Refresh this. I should see that package ID show up here. There it is. Okay, so now I have two controllers. Status is not started. Quarterly tax package empty. Go to my send here. Click on send controllers notification. Okay, got the email. Let's go to my controllers. Both of the status of changes to notified. Should be two questionnaires that have been created. I'm going to go to my email as Recurt. Click on track questionnaire here. I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. Okay, I'm going to click Save and Close. That should update my if you're going back here, it should update my questionnaire here. So I have one that's complete. Open up my email here. I did get a response saying that Recurt questionnaire is complete. Please note tax that this questionnaire has been received. I need to update that. Email, but that's okay. If I go back to my app and I go to the controllers here, I see that I have one status of complete, one status is notified. If I click on show chart here, I have the status of my, also if I remember, if I had a number of controllers here, I could see all of their statuses here in this chart. That concludes this demonstration.